Ready.
Do I need to, when I introduce this, do I need to pause before I hit that? So you can change, Jeff?
Yeah, just hit the space button.
Do I
No,
need
you just
do I
go,
need-
he'll
Go auto.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Ready? Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Media Center for the LPGA Drive-On Championship presented by Volvic at Golden Ocala. Please keep your mic on mute. And if you have a question, please comment in the chat on this call. And then when we open it up for questions, I will call on you. And just make sure to unmute yourself. We are joined by Anna Nordqvist, who recently shared her drive-on story. Yesterday, in fact. Thank you for joining us, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
Well, before we start with questions, we are going to share your spot of your drive-on story.
I won my first major in just my fifth start on the LPGA Tour, but that doesn't mean success has come easy for me. I've always had to work harder and longer, day and night, winter and summer. It was 8 long years before I would win a major again. There were plenty of struggles, hardships, and ups and downs. But each of those challenges have shaped me, and so has my family. They're the ones I turned to when times got tough, even when I thought about quitting. At those moments, I'd hear my grandfather's strong words in my heart. Never give up, he'd always tell me. Battling the harshest conditions I've ever played in, I felt his strength and heard his voice. Never give up.
And a Nordqvist is a major champ once again.
My biggest accomplishments have come from my biggest struggles, and that makes the victory even sweeter. I'm Anna Nordqvist, and I drive on.
What a powerful message.
Thank
to
you.
Never give up. When you watch this piece yourself, how does it make you feel to know that you can be impacting even one person out there?
It means a lot. Looking back at it, obviously, I've been on tour now since 2009, and it just puts like the whole journey in perspective. And I think a lot of people just see it as one uphill run, but there's been a lot of struggles in there. And when you've gone through those and battled through them and came out on top, they just mean so much more. And I think that's where my journey, I've had quite a few downs, but I've been able to battle through them and found the strengths and just that attitude, never giving up. So I know it's a powerful attitude and something that's helped me so much. So if I can influence someone, that obviously would mean a lot.
Well, you were part of the original This Is For Every Girl film that launched the Drive On campaign and brand a couple years ago. What was it like to be part of that and kind of have a voice in it, but to just to be part of that and to now tell your story to an even greater audience and have that more distinct voice?
It meant a lot to be chosen for that. I think I'm a pretty private person, and I'm pretty down to earth, and so I feel like when people really see me for who I am and they get to know me, I think I have a lot of things I can share. So just knowing that Roberta and the LPGA, they believed in me to be one of those 4 girls, that meant a lot to me.
You've had some very influential people in your life, especially family. You saw the pictures in your feature, and then between your brothers that you talked about in your story, your younger brother, Matthias, coming out to caddy to help you kind of rediscover that passion. At a time, maybe it was the flame wasn't quite as lit for you. To your grandpa, who really introduced you to the sport and helped carve your mindset that has guided you to success. Just starting with your grandpa, how much of an impact did he make for you to get where you are today?
Yeah, my grandpa was an amazing guy. He's not with us anymore, which is hard. But he used to always, tell me like he wasn't a golfer. He loved sports. And I just like really cherish those moments that I had with him, and just like knowing his strength, because he didn't have an easy journey. Like he came from Hungary, and he was meant to come to the United States with his sister and his mom, but while he was waiting on, I think, the visas, like, he went to Sweden and then met my grandma. So his journey obviously looked a little bit different than what it was originally planned. But it's been hard not having him there, and it's just been a lot of obviously good moments that I cherish that I had with him. And when things get tough, I always think of him, and I feel like it helps me a lot.
A strong man with many memories for you.
For sure.
Just looking at your brothers, what role did they play in your journey, and what role do they still play?
Yeah, I love my brothers. I'm the only girl. I'm the middle girl, and both my brothers are amazing. They're a little bit different in the sense, but I feel like you can always turn to them. And I probably wouldn't be playing golf if it wasn't for my younger brother coming out to caddy for me in the summer of 2013. I really had the best summer ever, and you're so far away from them, and just having time to spend with them means a lot.
Steve?
And who were the golfers in your family, the people who introduced you and instilled the love of the game?
Yeah, so we never grew up with golf. My dad played a little bit of mini golf. He competed at the European stage before my older brother was born. And then I think when my older brother was around 10, one of his friends in school had gotten a golf club. So he joined him for a practice, and then all of a sudden my dad and him picked up the game and start playing. Went on one of those introduction courses, and then me and my younger brother was gonna come and do the same. And then I hated the game because it was so boring. So I think I was around 10 at this time, and then so I quit. And then when my mom eventually wanted to start, I think I was about 13 at the time. And then I just didn't want to be the only person in the family not playing golf, and I didn't want to be the worst golfer in the family. So I tried it again. So it just wasn't something we were born into, but I feel like having two really supportive parents and having sports in the family and having two brothers, it wasn't originally golf, but it was a lot of other sports. So definitely have a huge influence from my family.
To do this for a career, you really have to love it. At what point did you know you loved it?
I tried a lot of different sports. I was swimming probably at the time, probably 6-7 times a week. I was probably the most dedicated swimmer ever. That I just never had any success because I'm very slow. Like, I don't really have a lot of explosive muscles in my body, and that's probably not, even if I'm tall, I don't hit it very far. But I loved sports, and it was probably just about finding the right sport for me. I tried team sports, but the fact that I kind of wanted the pressure, and I wanted to be able to play whenever I wanted or practice as much as I wanted. So I think when I started trying golf again, and I got better instantly, and then just felt like there was always something to work on, I really got the itch for it. So by the time I was 15, 16, I was all in.
And you talked about your brother coming out and caddying for you and that really saving your career. What was the lowest point for you?
I think it was about around that time, because I've lost the motivation, and I felt like it was a lot of pressure from the outside, or it just wasn't on my terms, and I felt like there was probably other things I'd rather be doing because I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying the a little bit of the environment I was in. So having my brother come out and feel like just having someone on the bag that I really enjoyed spending time with, and he's so positive, and he made me believe in myself when I didn't believe in myself there for a while.
And your second major championship came in perhaps the most miserable conditions we've ever seen out here. How difficult was it to grind through that, sleet basically, and come out on top? Yeah,
so at the end there, it got really cold really quickly, and then I didn't really warm up or anything because I was just trying to be inside and stay warm. But it just started to rain so much. I was soaked. I didn't have rain gear that really held up, and then it was hailing at a time when we were in the fairway, and I think me and Altamar, we were just kind of looking at each other over the fairway, but I guess we're playing. I couldn't feel my hands in that chip shot, and then it was just really tough times. But again, it reminded me a lot of the times that I used to play in the snow or during the winters with the guys back home in Sweden, and a lot of times I practiced in bad conditions. So maybe it was meant to be there for me.
You've been a Solheim Cup veteran for a lot of years now. How important is that event to you, and how much are you looking forward to it again?
Yeah, I mean, I live for the Solheim Cups. It's my highlights of my career. I've been fortunate to win quite a few times on the LPGA tour, but when I look back, it's the moments in the Solheim Cup. You get to share those with your teammates. I still remember back in 2009, my rookie year, when I'm teeing it up with Laura Davis and Helen Alfredsson, Mimi Hjort, Susanne Pettersson, all those players that I grew up watching. And all of a sudden, I think playing with Susanne Pettersson there in the best ball on the Saturday, that's still my highlight. And I think we won the last 2 holes to win the match. And just being surrounded by childhood idols, it was such a special moment for me. And I've done 6 now, and I would like to do a couple more before I'm done. But it's just nothing. You can't really compare the feeling of walking up to the first tee box. And I got to hit the first tee shot in 2013 in Colorado, and I think it was so much adrenaline pumping. And I think I hit it about another 20 yards. So it's just those moments, like, they can't be described in words, but you know, when I have tough times going to practice and when it's bad weather, like, those are the moments that I think of, and there's just nowhere else I'd rather be than playing in those moments.
How often do you relive or get asked about the ace you made in Colorado?
Probably not so much from other players. It's just more people like to remind me, or I was there, or quite often. I think it's just such a cool memory because it was to win the match right there and then. But I obviously don't mind the questions.
Best Solheim Cup memory, that ace or Suzanne making the putt in Scotland?
What was hard about, like, the Suzanne moment was obviously just seeing it. It was really cool, but I just never made it back because I finished my match against Morgan on, I believe, 15 green, and I think we made it on a cart to the 18th tee box, and then we heard she made the putt, and then we were just sprinting up the fairway. So I just never really got to experience that, like, sitting there. Obviously, I've seen it on TV. But the ace was really cool. But I think my first Solheim Cup, just playing with everyone.
Great.
Well, in your first-person piece on LPGA.com, you talked about how you associate your grandpa with water. Why is that?
So my grandpa's ashes was spread in water just outside a summer place we have in Sweden. And it's just one of those places I used to love going to. So I feel like I'm connected to my grandfather through water.
And you and Steve mentioned the 2017 Evian playoff when you got back in the winner's circle, pouring rain. What was that moment like, and maybe a connection you felt to him then?
Well, the weather couldn't get any worse, but the fact that it was water there right by the 18 green, and it's just one of those moments you can't really explain. And I still think about it, and I do believe that in higher forces, and that sometimes things are just meant to be, but I definitely think he was a big part of it.
In addition to never give up in your piece, I really found follow your heart to be an overarching theme in your story, whether that was moving to America to pursue golf at a higher level, leaving college early to chase your dream of the LPGA. What has follow your heart been meant to you, and has it been almost as important of a voice in your head as never give up?
Absolutely. I think I've always believed in going about things the way I think it works for me, and things just hasn't been easy. I had great A's, both or great grades, both in like school back home and in college, but it wasn't because things were just so easy for me. I always had to work hard. So I feel like I probably have worked a lot harder than a lot of people. Like I was never the most talented person. I was never the best golfer. But I felt like I had that dedication and the work ethic to beat a lot of players along the way. But then what was always been important for me was to do things my way. Whether that's been, sometimes I think it takes me a lot longer to learn something, but I'll be out there practicing until I get it. It requires a lot of dedication and time, but just going about things my way, and I feel like that's might have been hard, like coming out on tour, because I feel like a lot of people wants to tell you how it's going to be made. When I wanted to leave college early, I didn't really feel like that was what I wanted to do, and that's what I would needed to do to keep myself motivated. And I got questioned about it, but I never questioned myself for it, because I knew that was what my heart told me to do, or what I needed to do. So I think some of the best decisions in my life I made when I truly listened to myself and decided to go about it the way I know works for me.
In 2017, you were diagnosed with mononucleosis and underwent a period that extended well beyond a year of extreme fatigue and extended symptoms. What was that time like for you, and where did you go specifically for your inspiration to pull you from those challenging, uncertain moments?
Yeah, looking back at it, I probably would have done things a little bit different, knowing how it affects you. And it probably took me until last year to be fully healthy. And I think COVID was a blessing and a curse, because in one way it kind of gave me the break that I probably should have taken straight after like getting mono. But then also I won Evian 3 months after I had it. I didn't have any energy and ended up crashing completely, going to Asia. I had no energy, and then I almost hit the wall there in April the following year, because I just had nothing, and it was early on in the year, and didn't recognize myself, and I couldn't quite use that extra gear that I always had. When it goes back to like never giving up, I always felt like when things were tough, I'd always have that mental strength to push me through. But with mono, all of a sudden I had nothing. I had nothing to fight back. I had nothing to push me through things. So I think that was the hardest part, because I feel like that grind and that stubbornness, I just didn't recognize myself for a very long time. And I feel like during COVID I got a little bit of a break, and my mind wasn't going in 100 miles an hour every single day. So it was definitely one of my harder times in my career, because when your health, something you most likely take for granted, or you work out, but when the health is not there for different reasons, it's definitely hard.
Absolutely. To see how the LPGA Tour Drive On campaign has blossomed over the last 2 years, to where sponsors like Volvic are wanting to associate with an LPGA Drive On Championship event and bring it to Golden Ocala. What is it like to see the meaning of the LPGA brand take off as it is, especially for you and telling your own story?
I think it's amazing. I mean, we're going to see some good stories. We're going to see some touching stories like Madeline Sagström's. But I always tell a lot of people when they ask about the tour, and I think there's a lot of great personalities, and I don't think they're necessarily broadcasted in a way you can see some of the great personalities we have just watching the coverage. There's a lot of good stories. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of good messages that are being able to be told. I'm proud to be part of it, and hopefully can influence someone. But I think it's important to know that we're great golfers, but at the end of the day, we're just normal people with, with struggles, with ups, with downs, with just everyday things you go through. And I think that's easily forgotten.
Last one I have for you. A little different path than Drive On, but kind of relates. How cool was it to play with, I'm sure, a childhood idol of yours in Annika Sorenstam when you played with her at Gainbridge last week?
It was amazing. It really was. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Before last week, I had never played one single round with Annika, so I had texted her asking if she wanted to do a practice round, knowing that she'd probably be asked about a lot of people. But so I played 9 holes with her on the Monday, which it was raining, but I didn't care because I got to play with Annika. But then also getting the opportunity to tee it up with her with 2 rounds. I followed her a lot. I started playing in 2000. That's kind of when her prime started. So I've seen her play a lot, but it's different being inside the ropes with her, and I was still really impressed. And you can tell why she was great, and just being able to ask her questions and seeing coming down the stretch on Friday, her making a long putt on 3 and then making that chip shot on 7, that was amazing. Her fist pumps, and I was out there cheering for her because I wanted to see her do well. But she's been a very great role model for me over the years, and it's nice to be able to have the experience that I can actually say that I played with her too.
You played with the GOAT.
Yeah.
If no more questions, we will wish Anna good luck, and thank you for spending your afternoon with us here in the Virtual Media Center and sharing your Drive On story with us, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.